Hello everyone, RJ from Vidhya Communication Enhancers is back again. Today I have one more interesting story. The man who always left 5 minutes early. There was a man who wanted to become exceptional. He wasn't lazy. That was what confused him. He worked, he attended meetings, he completed assignments, he watched courses, he read articles, he solved problems. He had been learning for years, yet something was missing. Whenever he encountered a truly difficult problem, he could begin, but he couldn't stay. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, then the familiar feeling arrived, restlessness. His mind would become foggy. The problem would appear impossible. Suddenly, everything else become interesting. His phone, food, YouTube, a message he hadn't answered, a completely unrelated question he urgently needed to search. Even cleaning his room became attractive. He always told himself the same thing: I need a small break. Sometimes he returned, usually he didn't. Years passed. He became competent, but never exceptional. He knew many things, but understood few things deeply. He could follow solutions, but struggled to create them. He could recognize ideas after someone explained them, but struggled to discover them himself. His, this frustrated him more than failure. So one day he visited an old mathematician. The mathematician was famous for solving problems others had abandoned. The man asked him, how do you think so deeply? The mathematician replied, I don't. The man waited. The mathematician continued, I simply remain confused longer than most people are willing to. The man laughed. I am serious. So am I. The mathematician placed a difficult problem on the table. Solve this. The man began. 10 minutes, nothing. 20. He tried an approach, wrong. 30. Another, wrong. 40. His mind became restless. He reached for his phone. The mathematician took it away. Why did he do that? Because you are leaving. I am not leaving. You left before your body moved. The man became silent. The mathematician pointed at the paper. Returned. 50 minutes, nothing. The man became irritated. This approach isn't working. Good, good. You just eli- eliminated something. Another approach failed. Another failed. 1 hour. The man pushed his chair back. I can't solve it. The mathematician looked at the clock. Then at then at him. 5 more minutes. The man stayed. Nothing. 5 minutes passed. Again. Another five. Nothing. Again. The man became angry. This is pointless. The mathematician smiled. There. What? That's the door. What door? The one you have been leaving your entire life. The man stared at him. The mathematician continued. Every difficult problem has a room most people never enter. The entrance is confusion. The entrance is frustration. The entrance is moment when your familiar methods stop working. Most people arrive at the door and call it failure. They reach for their phone. They look for solution. They ask someone else. They distract themselves. They leave. The mathematician leaned forward, but occasionally someone stays. The man looked back at the problem. He stayed another 10 minutes, nothing. Then he noticed something, a small pattern. He wrote it down. It led nowhere, but while following it, he noticed something else. He stopped hearing the clock. He forgot about his phone. The problem began changing shape inside his mind. Pieces that had seemed unrelated started connecting then. He saw it, not the entire solution, the first real idea. He suddenly stood. Wait, the mathematician said nothing. The man began writing one line, then another. He stopped, wrong again. But this time he didn't want to leave. Something had changed. The problem was no longer a wall, it was a territory, and for the first time he was inside it. 3 hours later, he solved it. He looked at the mathematician. His face was alive. I did it. The mathematician nodded. Yes. Why couldn't I see it before? The mathematician answered. Because you always left 5 minutes early. The sentence stayed with him. He thought about his entire life, the book he abandoned when they become difficult, the skill he practiced only while improving was visible, the project he left unfinished, the problem whose solution he read too quickly, the night when 40 minutes of struggle became 3 hours of entertainment. Suddenly he wondered how many times had he been 5 minutes away? Not 5 literal minutes, 5 minutes beyond his willingness to remain uncomfortable. How many ideas he had been waiting on the other side? How many insights? How much intelligence had he never developed because every time his brain reached his limit, he escaped instead of forcing it to adapt. He felt something painful. He had spent years believing intelligence was something he lacked. Perhaps he had simply never stayed long enough to discover what his mind could do after the easy thoughts were exhausted. That night he went home. He sat at his desk. A difficult problem waited. He worked. Eventually, the familiar feeling returned restlessness, confusion, the urge to check his phone. His hand moved toward it. He then stopped. A thought entered his mind. The door. He looked at the problem. Maybe there was nothing behind it. Maybe he would work for another hour and still fail. Maybe he would never help tomorrow. Maybe he understood something now. He could not control whether he solved the problem. He could control whether discomfort made the decision for him. He put the problem, he put the phone away and stayed. Years passed. People began noticing something about him. He could solve problem other couldn't. They called him intelligent, talented, gifted. He knew the truth. He wasn't always smarter. He had simply developed a strange relationship with the moment. When thinking became painful, other people interrupted that moment as I should stop. He interpreted it as now we are getting somewhere. One evening, a young student asked him, what is the secret of deep thinking? He remembered the mathematician. Then he answered, your mind has two layers. The first gave you everything you already knew. It is fast, comfortable, automatic. Most people spend their entire life there. The second layer begins when the first has nothing left to give. To reach it, you must pass through a period where you feel stupid. The feeling frightened people, so they escape. He pointed toward the student's phone. The device is not your enemy, but if you teach yourself to reach for it every time your mind becomes uncomfortable, you will spend your life living the deepest room of your own mind unopened. The student asked, what should I do when I desperately want to quit? The man smiled. First decide whether you genuinely need rest. If you do, rest properly. But if you know you are only escaping because thinking becomes uncomfortable, he pointed back toward the unfinished problem. Stay 5 minutes longer. The student looked confused. Will 5 minutes make me successful? No. Will I solve the problem? Maybe not. Then why 5 minutes? The man answered, because you are teaching your mind something. What? The discomfort does not have authority over you. The student returned to problem. Year later, whenever his hand automatically reached for his phone in the middle of the difficult word, one sentence appeared in his mind. Don't leave 5 minutes early. And sometime he still left. Sometime he wasted the evening. Sometime he failed completely. but more and more often he stayed. And over years, those extra minutes accumulated into something no motivational speech would have given him depth, because eventually he discovered the truth. The first thought is available to everyone. The obvious solution is available to everyone. The surface is crowded, but beneath the surface, where the easy answer have ended, where confusion begins, where the mind begs for escape, there are fewer people, and sometimes the only difference between person who find what is hidden there and the person who never does is who stayed in the room. For your specific goal, the mental image from this story is the door. When you are genuinely tired, sleep. When you intentionally choose recreation, enjoy it. But when you catch yourself opening entertainment specifically because a problem becomes difficult, think, am I resting or am I standing at the door and leaving again? So with this we are ending today's story. Thanks for listening.